Welcome to another episode of High Ticket Snails with me, Charlie Free, and of course, my stupendous co-host Gary Garland. How are you?
What's up, Charlie?
Not much, man. Just completing another week and realizing what needs to happen in the industry to raise the standards, of which we will touch on. But how are you? I know you had some events happen today. I think Gary told me you did like 400 push-ups or something like that.
I wish. I haven't been in a gym in like 2 weeks, dude. The life of a parent, right? Keeps me busy.
How is everything just in life? Let's touch on that just for a moment. How is life for you?
Life is good. You know, we're vibing, we're having fun. It's summer, man. You can't complain when it's warm out, you know. A little warmer than I'd like, though, right? You know, it's like we've been touching that almost 100-degree mark, you know, Fahrenheit. So it's pretty warm here.
100 degrees Fahrenheit to me, I don't know exactly what that is, but as I was driving through the streets of, I'm not going to say where I meant, like if people know where I live, they know where I live, but I'm not going to say where it is, but it's in Eastern Europe. It was 30 degrees Celsius. So it was up there. Yeah, this is actually a good point. Good segue. I opened the bank today. Yeah, so if you're into knowing how to, I guess with me where I'm at, some people can maybe guess, it's 9% on tax. 9%. Where is it? What is it for where you're at, Gary?
On income?
Yeah. Oh, on profit, yeah. Corporate tax.
Yeah, I mean, income's like close to 30.
So here's a quick test. And let me say this before we truly flow into this. I mean, me and Gary know, but Gary, we're getting swarmed with emails. I mean, we cannot keep up with it. Yeah, we're getting swarmed with emails. So here's a hack. If you've got the stories that we're actually saying, you know, share. If you're in high ticket sales, share the stories that you have, the good, bad, the ugly. Email us at talk@highticketsnails.com. talk@highticketsnails.com. And use a subject line, story. And as a bonus, if anyone can guess where I live, I will give you a free gift. How about that? Too nice. Such a nice guy. Gary, any main topics that you know, because I know what I'm going to fly into, that you know today you wanted to bring to the table?
No, I think just a natural conversation is, you know, what we're going for most of the time anyways. So let's just roll with it and have fun.
I'd love to talk to you about where there's problems, there's profit. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds fantastic.
In your opinion, what do you think since 2020's happened, businesses going more online, of course. What do you think one of the biggest problems is, would you say, in this marketplace? Of course, we're in the sales industry, but it's really online business. What do you say is one of the most pressing problems from your experience?
Companies don't understand that as this world evolves, right? The high ticket space, the corporate world, it doesn't matter where you're in, right? They don't understand that people want to live differently in today's society than they did 20 years ago, right? Great. I got a story. I'm going to kind of elaborate on this a little bit. But my mom has been in accounts receivables for 30 some years, right? She takes money in for businesses. She does collections, all that stuff. And she's been in a company for 3 years. And they're outsourcing it. The company profitability is bad, right? So they're going to outsource her job to another like department essentially, and they're going to get rid of her position at some point this year, right? So she went out and she found another job. Actually, ironically, it only took her a couple weeks, but she did get another position. Actually, the old company, but it's under a new like owner that is honestly a better position, closer to home, all that stuff. But where I'm going with this is she's like, well, you know, they haven't given offer letter yet completely with the pay. Like they've done it all verbally, but they haven't given her the physical offer letter to say like this is what it is, right? And that's just the legality, HRs, all that garbage, right? It's coming. I said just be patient. It'll be there in a couple of days. Like don't worry about it, right? But and I know where you are, Charlie. Like the laws and work and stuff is different there, but the funny thing about that is, right? She's like, well, I got to give 2 weeks notice. I got to give 2 weeks notice. Bro, in the US, people don't care about 2 weeks notices anymore. Like we have got into a culture here, whether it's high ticket sales, whether it's wherever it's at, that for so many years, oh, you got to give notice so that they can like start figuring, the company needs to figure out what they need to do to be able to backfill your position, all this garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they fire you, they giving you 2 weeks notice to go find another job? Absolutely not. And I told her, I'm like, just give them the notice you can and move on because you're not going to go back there anyways. Like, right, they've treated you pretty bad at the end here anyways. But when you're talking high ticket sales and how hard it is in the space, you get very young owners, you get experienced business owners, you get, and like we've talked in the past, I think in the first episode or the second episode, we talked about me going into that role that only lasted 9 days. They didn't even tell me I was fired. They just got rid of they just canceled me, dude. Like I was literally canceled, right? And it was a blessing from God, no doubt, right? But in the long run, we look back at that, like I grew so much from that, but they didn't care enough about me. Why was I putting in so much effort, right? But to be successful in high ticket sales, you have to put the 110% effort in, regardless of who you work for, because you're working for yourself. You're not working for somebody else. The high ticket space is an individual market. It's not, and I kind of went on a tangent there, but it's so individualized. You got to do it for yourself and nobody else.
When you said that just now, a bolt of lightning, thunderbolt of lightning, very, very, very berry lightning. It's all those strawberries I'm drinking. I'm speaking about this a lot. One of my principles is I don't run a business. I am the business. My life is the business. And there is an individual indirectly I will shout out because it's interesting because you get a lot of the same patterns. There was an individual that thought I was talking about him on this podcast was actually talking about someone else, and he mentioned it to me. He was like, I appreciate you mentioning me. And I was like, well, I will mention you, but I don't actually think I was talking about you originally. That individual knows who it is. But what he's coming to, young individual, he's coming to the realization fast. I can say a lot on these classes. He's someone that shows up to every class, great student, doing great work, does the work. And what he's realizing, he sent me a breakdown today through the support chat. He's like, I'm starting to really realize this isn't about just being good at sales, if marketing isn't in place, if the fulfillment isn't there, if blah, 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 all this is coming together. So on top of some of the things that I've run through this week, and there's a key word, execute. All right. So I say in sales, obviously in the context of us helping people secure roles, there's two main things. One, can you depend on yourself to execute? And I actually did a test. I run it, I said as a joke, if anyone knows who this is, you'll know what a G this man truly is. But Tom Mazuru, right? For reference, Michael Jackson's lawyer. If you know anything about that guy, unbelievable lawyer, unbelievable. And I was cross-examining. I was like, right, like I did the whole shebang, yeah? I did all that kind of stuff. And I was like, right, you're in court. Your claim is that you're willing to do the work. And I crushed him in 2 minutes because I can look at the job board. I can see the work he's doing. I can see the work he's not doing. And I'm like, no matter what you try to do, if you go to sleep knowing you're an individual that can't get done what you say you get done, you're fucked because you've got no credibility, no accountability, and you're missing really what people that hire look for. They might say they look for all this stuff on the surface, but deeply, if you really speak to someone that wants to hire someone, if you get into the core drivers of what they want, someone that's going to come in and say what they're going to do minimally and ideally over deliver. So if you can't see that the game is internal, if you can't understand that you are the business, you are the work, everything needs to go into your life. And I'll lead to some of the bigger solutions shortly. That's like one part. And if you've got that down, oh my days, when you can get, not in an interview, when you can get into, I say a negotiation, if you're early in the game, you don't have much leverage. You can't really negotiate and leverage yourself in because you have to get started somewhere. So there's like a game of leverage. Once you start to get that, you have to negotiate on an equal playing field as a partner. And you knowing that you do the work requires one other thing: the environment so you can perform. And I teach people how to do the math and call bluffs on what some business owners, if you want to call them that, entrepreneurs, are saying should happen when you get in the environment. And then the realities, and Gary, me and you both know, transparently, people are lying openly. They're lying.
They're lying or they're inflating. It's just, it's, you know, like I worked for one company that told me they had, you know, they were doing X amount of millions a year, right? When you got down brass tacks, they hired an analyst, right? Me. I was an analyst for 10 years. They think that I wasn't going to find it? Like that I wasn't going to figure it out? They were making packing peanuts, right? I was making more of their revenue per month than they were making in a month, right? Like that does happen, right? Because again, a lot of these business owners do have large egos and they want to make themselves look bigger than they are, or they had a company that was really big and now they're trying something new or a new product line or a new this or that really isn't generating that revenue. So now you got to work 10 times as hard to get there, right? So, you know, the 110% coming into this, right, Charlie? Like how many setters are successful to closers who essentially half-ass their calls? They dial the same number or 50 times to make their numbers look better, or they're not having intentional phone calls with discovery with people, things like that. How many of those people actually get to closers? Zero. It's the 1%, and it's so easy to get that 1% if you just execute and do what you got to do. Like just do the job and put the effort in, right? Effort is the biggest thing.
Yeah, the detachment that's needed to survive, and this is something I think this is one of the drivers I'm in the position I am. I think this is a podcast that's built from this ethos. You don't scare people off telling them the truth. If anyone's scared off by telling them the truth, then they were never going to make it anyway. Right? There's a lot of fear in sales. There's a lot of fear-based selling. Fear is a part of it. You know, it's quite scary to stay where you are. It's quite scary to not change. It's quite scary to think everything's a scam. It's quite scary to take no risks. There's fear is a part of it. But fear-based selling is different to empowerment-based selling, if you like. And the fear that runs through people, I mean, it's happening again. This is beyond high-ticket sales, but we sit in this niche. This is a society-installed fear. So one of the ways around not being fearful coming into this industry, understanding how hard it will be, is to realize it can't be hard for you, much harder than anything else you're doing, if you're an individual that does what you say you're going to do and you work hard, right? There is a big difference to saying that and doing that, right? This is why data, I've learned to love data. I've learned to love data through sales. And with the job board, now I can see what people are doing. I've only really started to use the feature, Gary, where I'm interacting with them in chat. And I can click on their name and I can see what they've done this week. And every single time I see someone focus on something other than applying to a role, I can be like, well, you've applied to no roles today. Right now, you're focused on such low leverage stuff. Even if they miss all my live calls, if they don't do anything else, if they just popped in my inbox once, I can be like, you are going to like 100x any type of feedback, advice, guidance I can give you if you just put yourself out there. And there is a fear most people have to do that. It's fear at these layers. So if you can come into this industry, this is, again, feedback game. If you can come into this industry over anticipating, I don't know if you've ever had like, I don't know what you had today, but I remember I got stitches in my hand. It's probably one of the worst physical pains. Stitches.
I've had plenty of them in my hand before, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've never had really anything. This woman injected me. I didn't look, but she injected me with this like disinfected numbing thing.
Yeah, lidocaine.
And I was like, oh, like in my mind, I was like, oh my days, this is an insane level of pain. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be because I over anticipated the pain. So if you can, and this is, I get questioned on this a lot, Gary. People, sometimes community leaders will say to me, Charlie, why in your class, I noticed that you say to people like it can be really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And they're like, why do you say that? And I'm like, because if you don't let them know how hard it's going to be, they undershoot. And from the data, here's an update on the data. Less than 1% of people, this is unbelievable game for anyone in high ticket sales, by the way. We're in a very unique position to see this. Less than 1% of people are actively on target hitting their KPIs applying. Less than 30% of people actually applied to a single role with access to thousands at their fingertips.
Right.
So take what you will from that, but like the percentages are so low. If you try to say, oh, this is going to be really, really easy for people, it doesn't help them. If you say it's going to be really, really, really hard, and then they actually do the work, they're like, this is actually not too bad. And they progress much further. But I believe, Gary, as we're segueing, this is one of the biggest problems. Marketing and sales, I'm about to start to control. I'm about to focus on that with what we're building. It's a secret, but we can talk about some parts of it. But when we control the marketing, here it is. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to some of the marketing. And then the sales process to sell in the specific, empowered, direct, transparent, contracted way. Hey, you just need to do A, B, and C, like properly. Not what everyone says, because they're scared of losing the sale. In a true way of, I will not take your money. There's a mindset, and I don't hate it, by the way. I'm not like judging it, but it's just not, it doesn't align with me. It's never been something I've leaned into, but it's like, we should give people a shot. That's a justification so you can take their money, knowing that they're not going to make it. I don't know about you, Gary. I can see if someone's going to make it or not.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can sit in a room with 20 people and know that which ones are going to be successful, which ones are maybe going to be successful, and which ones aren't. Just, people give you that vibe, their body language, the way they talk. There's something in every person that will tell you. Now, you have to be, I think you can disagree with me on this one, Charlie, but I think there's a line of bullshit that you have to be able to feed through too, because good salespeople in some fashion can, BS people, right? Like, especially in like certain industries, depending on where they're coming from, right? Like car salesmen, stuff like that you see a lot of that, stretching the truth type of stuff. And if you can read through that, you can see if somebody's going to be successful. Because I think like in the high ticket space, you don't see that stretch of truth as much because you're selling a product that's like, if you put the effort in, it will be successful type of situation, especially in the B2C world, right? But to circle back with what we were talking about, do you know the main reason why people that go into high ticket sales, that like you said, that low percentage actually apply for a position? Do you know why that is?
I want to know your thoughts, but I feel like I have many answers for it.
The biggest thing that most high ticket sale applications ask for is a Loom video, right? People don't like to talk about themselves. People don't like to record themselves. And they're like, oh, it's not good enough. It's not this. It's not that. Right? In your program, right? You give them an outline of what they need to put in it. It's not hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but they make it harder than it is because, like you said, you have to like make them believe it's harder than it really is. And I struggled with that originally. Like, obviously I did it. And honestly, I don't even know if I got a role using my Loom, to be honest with you, because if I got to group interviews, I was pretty good at selling myself. But those Loom videos don't have to be as complex as people try to make it out. How many people have recorded those things 300 times before they send it to you?
Oh, that's a large percentage.
Right. And they burn themselves out. They're burning themselves out creating that. I would rather see somebody at 90% good in that video than to be burnt out trying to get it to 100. And then they look like a jackass essentially when they send it because they don't look like a salesperson anymore. Right? Over complex, overthinking. Like, I think that there's obviously other problems of why people aren't applying, but I have found through all the programs that I've been in or been around, those Loom videos hold people back a lot, and they shouldn't, but they do. You're gonna be talking to people every day.
Yeah, I believe the Loom as well is one of the biggest ones. There's I mean, like you said, not to echo too much, there's a lot of insecurity people have when they're first hearing themselves, seeing themselves. There's that. And that's always there. Like, I have a Loom prompted as an example, and I send it to people, and I could pick so many flaws in it still. You know, I did a Loom to someone the other day. I gathered all their data. So I listened to them talk. I'm like, gather. Got this stuff, got this highlight reel. There was a lot to work with. It was a great, actually, the example I'm thinking of. Older guy, been in sales, done loads of different things. So I'm like, okay, this is good because you're not 16 and you're like, just left school. I was good in PE. You know, you're like, you're actually sat on millions in revenue, whether car sales, like, basically there's some of these sales guys that I always like. I'm very big on camaraderie. I'm very big on respect. I'm a principle-based man. So when someone comes in, even with more years on after me, I make that. That's how I got through. I won't say his name. When me and you was on that team and I was sales manager, there was an L.
We don't say that name.
Yeah,
that name's not allowed to be said anywhere.
Do you know who I'm speaking about specifically? The elder guy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
I could pull his number up in my phone right now and give him a call, you know?
No,
we can bring him in.
Yeah, but I don't think you he wasn't the owner. I'll put it that way. Wasn't the owner.
I know it wasn't the owner. I know exactly who you're talking about. Okay. No, I have his phone number. Yeah.
Okay, so for the audience, this is a guy that's old enough to be maybe my granddad.
No, he could be 100%. 100% both of our grandfathers.
Yeah, I came in and basically I'm a guy that like understands things in the unsaid and the unseen. I get that. That's my world. That's where I live mostly. So when the guard's up with people like that, I'm really good at like pulling people's guards down and open them up because I'm like, look, I've got way more to learn from you. Let's do this as a team. Let's do this collaboratively, blah, blah, blah. To the point, when you come in this industry and you've got a lot, but you don't know, if you don't get an individual that can work with you, and I'm not saying it's exclusive to me, but like if you don't get an individual that can work with you to help you understand, you've got a lot you can bring to this market rather than take from it. It will be a damn shame because you can get caught up on recording yourself on a video. Like, yeah. It's silly. It's low leverage. But to that point, here's one of the solutions. And if the audience, as it will, exponentially grow and people that listen to this, hopefully this lands upon the ears of people that will resonate from this. Extending to the problem, and I'll lead to the solution, but one of the problems is people were only sold one option, and it's a high-ticket investment.
Right.
Who knows what that is? For the uninitiated, it's going to be at least $2,000. for something. Yeah. I paid triple that over when I joined the community, me and Gary did.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, I paid my, it's not about that, but it's like sometimes people are literally putting everything on the line to make this work, and they still haven't, or they basically, I'm working on a doc right now. It's an operation. I can't reveal the exact name of it because it's a secret right now, but I'm working on an operation that will solve, I believe, where 70% of people won't apply to a single role. I believe we'll get 70% of people that not only apply to roles, hit KPIs, and I will revolutionize the industry targets. And I believe it's done by this. If you look at any school or any university or anything that's done traditionally, you can't just, on the rare occasions, I believe this happens, you can get excelled into new grades, higher grades, even if you're 12, I don't know what the correlation is, but if you're 12 and you're really, really good, you might go into the top grade with the 15-year-olds because you're like a genius. But everyone moves in grades. People are buying and investing into progress rather than access. And if you can revolutionize to make the investment access only and not progress, meaning you move in grades, you get first graders, second graders, third graders, fourth graders. I don't know if you read the doc, Gary, but I put all this together in black and white. And no matter what, it's literally this. You cannot pay me to get access to the fourth grade, even if you're really good or even if you're terrible. We need to help people enter into this industry with a lower ticket option. So there's less financial pressure, because some people, they're out there, and I love those people. That's me. Yeah. They will absolutely eat through bricks. Yeah. They will fucking eat through bricks to get through that pressure. Like, pressure, fucking serve it to me. Yeah. 1,000 push-ups a day. Fight me. Yeah. Real level, conviction level shit. That's less than 1% of people. Most people are like, oh my God, I'm going to make this work. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. And they crumble and they don't make it.
Right.
So they need to grow within an ecosystem that, first of all, simplifies it, but second of all, becomes financially manageable until they get all the competency skills done and they learn looms and they learn all about that stuff. And then they gain access to higher ticket options that give them more systems that will secure them the positions and higher leverage problems that we solve in trainings. I can't say too much more than that. But Gary, what do you think about that? I think high ticket sales completely misses low ticket products.
Yeah, I mean, just in the 2 or 3 months that I was in the program that me and you were in, right? I seen vast majority of, from people who didn't know what the heck they were doing to people who had 10 years of sales experience, right? And I have 2 people in my brain right now, both real estate agent background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both were doing very similar numbers. One of them failed, one of them succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the reason that is one of them took the baby steps that you're talking about, essentially, fought through the adversity and succeeded, and the other person folded, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem that we're trying to solve for, because if everybody comes in on a level playing field, and you start with your basic class, you go to a more advanced class, you get to your mastery class, right? As you go through those types of things and you build that skill set, because you could agree with this. I don't care what you've sold in this world, whether it's a computer at Best Buy, you've sold a house, a car, whatever. That in-person sales process, completely different than a phone or a computer Skype type phone process, because that person standing in the store that you're selling, they feel a different emotional connection with you than they do over a computer, where I could just literally click one button and be gone. Poof.
Oh, have you had that, by the way? Like, how many times that happened to you?
It's only happened a couple of times, but there was a certain unmentionable in some of those calls. Okay. But what I'm saying is, right, like, my background was sales, and I have sold on both sides. I sold life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance in person in an office for multiple years. But that job also sold over the phone, So I had already built some of that skill at the same time, but I still got crushed in the face when I essentially when I went into high ticket, right? Because it's just so different, right? So that is why like people are like, oh well, I got all this experience, I can just come in and just do this, right? I just need access to your job board. I don't need any training.
Yeah.
Well, that's our reputation. When you go get put on a roll and then you fall flat on your face 2 weeks later and call me, hey Gary, Charlie, dude, they fired me. I couldn't hit my quota in that first 30 days. I wasn't even at 50%. Well, why not? Because it was much harder than I thought it was going to be, even though you told me 20 million times. And how many times have we seen that?
Yeah. Well, if you say how many times, statistically, that's above 70% of people easily.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then you start to get into like how many people get through it. I used to say 90-10 rule. I used to say 90-10 rule, but the statistics that are coming out and showing me, fucking hell, it's actually 99-1 rule. So yeah, the 1% know it. You can always tell, to the contrary, you can always tell you're going to be good, man. You're going to be fine. Yeah. Or lady. There is, because sometimes I will be real, right? I get disheartened. Anyone that's listening to this, I get disheartened. I get disheartened a lot by what I hear, blah, 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 blah. But then I have to remember, profit is within problems. So here's the reframe. When you're seeing problems in the industry, great. Fucking hell, great. Yeah? When Steve Jobs went on Steve Jobs' arc with Apple, he was seeing the problems that no one else was seeing. Everyone thinks in a certain way. I tell you now, most of the industry, like I don't resonate with it. Yeah, this is one of the reasons the book I'm writing is called Fuck Sales. It's a little bit more, it's not as like fuck sales. It's like, oh, like I'm not against sales, but I'm against the word and the association of what people think sales is, right? I'm expanding the concept of it. But there is pretty much across the board, I'd say over 90%, everyone's following the same sales processes. I can't tell you how many people that I've helped. There was a kid recently, shout out to, I'm sure this is someone I work with more personally, privately, outside of the current ecosystem with a job board and stuff. But there was a guy that come to me through Wisdom Culture. And once we got little basic things in his life in order, he crushed the cash collected record, done more than he's ever done on that team. And it came down to like simple things that he had to remove, right? He kept explaining to people what the product was. And that would take 2 minutes. I'm like, bro, you're losing people. Yeah, you need to say, and this is what we change it to. Instead of, oh, what we do in this, and Google Ads, is we make sure you're sweet and blah, 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 blah. But even that tonality, gone, lost, by. 2, hey, you know the people that are looking for the service in your local area? Yeah. We make sure that they phone your number directly. That's it. That's it. And I had to train him to stay silent and be quiet. And he unbelievably boosted his results from those nuances. I'm telling you now, like this industry has so many problems, which provides so much opportunity to come in and fix it, particularly if you've got a little bit more wisdom about you, if you've got years on earth, even if you're a younger individual that like can see beyond these things and you can bring solutions to the market, because most people are selling in the same way. Right. But when you, like you were saying, Gary, like you join the teams, for example, and they're like, oh, this isn't like I thought it was going to be. No matter, even myself, of course myself, more than anyone, this is why I speak with this conviction. I'll do DM setting to prove a point. I'll do any role that you allow me to do to get into this industry, to climb in the way that I did and rapidly grow in the 3 years that I've been in this game alone. I'll do that. So the solution to me is this. You can't go into a boxing club and you get someone that's like, I want to learn boxing. And they're like, well, the first thing you should do today is spar our top guys. Yeah, fucking hell, you can't do that. Yeah, you can't go into a jiu-jitsu gym and say, well, you're going to be, and it's a bit different with jiu-jitsu. The black belts will take care of the white belts, but it's like, there's a metaphor in here. If you've got common sense, you understand it. You can't just jump into certain things. Certain people shouldn't be buying into high-ticket products yet. They should stay away from others that are able to do the basic things. Because when I do a live call, there's so many different types of people on there. Some people show up on Zoom as iPhone. And I'm like, you've got to learn how to set up a Zoom account. Some people, Gary, some people can't get access to the room. Yeah, they can't save an event on their calendar. I'm not knocking these people, but you're not ready for high-level problem solving to secure yourself a role in high-ticket sales. So there has to be grades and levels that people access. And just so the audience know, we're fucking bringing that. We can start by saying that Discord, it's all free. We're going to do one webinar, one free live call in that community every single month, starting at the end of August. Yeah, so at the end of August, I'm saying this now, Gary, you don't even know, I'm saying it now. We're going to start running a live call. And we're going to have, Gary, we're bridging into the solutions now. We're going to have an ecosystem that enables you to grow at your own pace and stay, and you keep separate from, you stay in your own lane, you keep separate from people that are at different levels, and that's good for both people. Meaning you're not under so much financial pressure, you can figure out the basics. Because like, I get it. I see when people screen share my class, Gary. Oh, you've got 70 tabs open. Let's start by pulling the one tab that matters into its own browser and get rid of the rest, and there's your focus now.
Yep.
Yeah? That's how you apply to roles. It's not magic. It's systems, operations, basics. Some people don't have that. So we're going to do this grading system where you can come in. And to anyone listening, the Discord is where we start that. You'll see all the success of other people coming through in reviews all the time. But at Discord, we're going to do one free webinar. We'll go into much more detail with this. But people need to access this at a lower level. So if anything, don't knock low ticket sales. Yeah, a subscription that's less than $100. That's how Gary, I got started with Hustlers University. That's what got me into the online game. I bought into Andrew Tate's school that's now university.com or the real world. But I don't know if you made any investments before, Gary, but was it like high ticket straight away, or was it you tried a few things low ticket?
For me, I went high ticket straight away. But I will tell you, because one of the setting roles I had a low ticket offer that we upsold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those low tickets turn to those high tickets a lot of times, especially as we say it, if the fulfillment's good, right? If the fulfillment is good, they will turn into more money later, right? Mm-hmm. If you could sell 10 $200 items a day, make $20 a piece on them, right? Mm-hmm. Or you sell one $2,000 item per week that you make 10% on. Mm-hmm. Which one's going to make you more money long term? I'd rather sell the 10 for $200 a piece, because 10 times 2 is the 2,000, and I'm getting that every day instead of once a week. Like you said, low ticket is just as important to build that skill as those high ticket ones. And it solidifies everything. It's the frame of the house. It teaches you everything you need to know. There's so many people. I need 10K a month right now. I need it tomorrow. Yeah, me too. Right? Like we all do. Right? But 10K is really not that much money in this world. You're looking for bigger numbers and goals than that. Long term, gas is $4 a gallon here in the U.S. You know, I know it's liters over where you're at, but like when you're spending, inflation and everything else, like those numbers start to inflate. Now I get it. Most of these people that come into this space were making $3,000 to $4,000 a month. They're getting their 30% tax, so making $10,000 a month is a huge change in their life, right? But you're never going to get there if you don't take the baby steps learn the process, whether it's setting, closing small tickets, whatever it takes. It all comes down to the effort level that you're going to put into this process to be successful. And like you said, there's a lot of these programs and things like that out there to help get you in the space. There's a lot of good and bad in all of them, right? Charlie, you work with them every day.
Mm.
But I think the biggest thing about what we have been trying to do in the space is to bring people that actually have a passion for it, that could see themselves being successful. Not just I'd rather bring in 5 people every month and train them effectively than to bring 35 people in a month and 70% of them give me a bad review because they just actually didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Most of the companies we've worked with will take anybody that has a credit card with $6,000 on it. And it doesn't work.
Mm. Yeah, and what does get me, because this is obviously, again, this is personal for both me and you.
Right.
Yeah, because like everyone enters in the industry in a similar way, right? There's a few outliers that kind of really got in it early. There wasn't many options, and maybe they built their options. But
right,
it does become personal because you're in this situation where you start to you find out immediately. For the most part, you find out immediately. You go through a sales process, and then when you start to learn the sales process, you're like, oh shit, okay. So if you're wise enough. Like when you say we don't take everyone, you really didn't mean that, because you take everyone. You take everyone that's got a credit card. The reality, this is a sad part for me as well, because in any other context or dynamic, people understand this. If you've never been to the gym before, you don't lift super heavy weights. You don't go in there and start smashing out heavy weights. So why would you do that immediately with a high ticket product? Now, if you're convicted in yourself and there's a clear roadmap and you've got great guidance, it can absolutely work. Let's make this very clear. This works also for so many people in this industry. It's not to be biased here, but to be balanced. This works for so many people in the industry. I've changed my life from it, even though I've moved through mistakes. Yeah, mistakes are leading me to mastery. That is the game in anything. But the lack of low ticket options for where most of the market is, because one thing that does come up all the time is I'm not seeing many, high quality teams or roles. Why do I hear that a lot? Because I'm not dealing with loads of high quality, high value sales professionals. So you best believe, guys, that you need these opportunities to get started. It's not knocking these opportunities either, but it's transparently, this is where you're at. If you can't afford, to live in a castle, then you might live in a 1-bed apartment in a not so great neighborhood. If that's your humble beginnings, that's your humble beginnings. And it doesn't need to determine your destiny. But you have to be guided in a way that's actually going to enable you to grow. And the majority of people, both sides, someone that's purchasing, a buyer, is going to find more space and breathing room, providing you got fulfillment, yeah? Unmatched. We are fucking unmatched in this game. I don't give a fuck, yeah? God put me on earth to raise the standards of humanity. Yeah, the feedback is unparalleled with my level of fulfillment. I'm born to do this. I'm not in this because it's convenient. I was born to do this. So I know my fulfillment is there. And that goes for anyone else that we're collaborating with and partnered with. Their students get unbelievable fulfillment from me and the team. So there's that. So the buyers get great work. But one thing that business owners and entrepreneurs are struggling with, and Gary, you know this, is high ticket sales can be so great. You can hit numbers that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing a 6-figure business. But you did it 1 month. It went down the next. Oh shit, why isn't this trending upwards? That instability and that pressure often crushes people. So if you can have cash flow in low ticket products coming in all the time, I mean,
why do you think people have Amazon stores selling stickers or Etsy stores? They sell if I sell 10,000 stickers a month for $1 a piece, like that's 10 G's a month. Like it doesn't matter. Volume is just as important, right? It's wild that I know a guy. It's fun. I mean, we know people in every situation at this point, I think, Charlie, right? But there was a guy that completely failed out of that program that me and you were in, right? Not because of what that business did, not because of what the training was, none of that, because he was too damn stubborn to realize that he needed to take a couple steps back and build himself up in the process. And he failed. And I'll be honest, he was 10 years younger than I am. He was barely 20 years old at the time, right? And you may know exactly who I'm talking about. But, but that's the thing. Like, we have a dear friend who we know has crushed it and was had nothing to do with high ticket sales or sales in general before he ever went in the space, and he's crushed it pretty well over the last couple of years that came into the space when I did, so it's tough, and I know I say how tough it is all the time, but it's all up here. Everything is a mental like appreciation for what you're doing and how you're going to do it to get to the long road. And the more hungry people do generally become more successful, but there is those people that will be the tortoise that beats the rabbit or the hare, however you want to look at it. So
yeah, slow is fast, man.
Sure.
Slow is fast. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. There is a reality, and you can see this in the microcosm of decisions made. Right? Still to this day, the biggest pay in full that I ever secured went against all the rules. I've reviewed it for people before. It went against all the rules that people would tell you in sales. And I mean, it was like, I didn't even approach that call pitching a 20K product. Yeah. In many ways, I wasn't even pitching. But long story short, there was an individual and she had to leave the call twice. So we did it in like a free call process. And she had to leave the call. And it's like all the things against the book. It's like some people would say, hey, get a deposit down, secure this and this. I'm like, cool, do you think? I'm here. It's super detached, super laid back. Slow is my point. And the receiving end is there was enough commission on that one deal to buy me a car. I genuinely bought a BMW with it. It broke 4 months later, for the record. I'm driving around this fucking BMW in the UK like, you fucking made it, mate, yeah? I fucking made it. Driving to the gym in this BM, and I'm like, it's not really practical of a car, to be honest. It was nice. It was nice, to be honest. It was like had some nice acceleration. But the oil was fucked. If anyone knows about old BMWs,
Yeah, they eat the oil, that's for sure.
And but there's been so many of those times where the paradox is slow is fast, where I've said so many things on a sales call that if you read it in the transcript, you'd be like, don't say that. Yeah, but it's like what matters at the end of the day is what you can measure. How many digits are in payment? There's people that talk about closing deals without the money landing. Like I've been on teams and they're talking about closing, they're celebrating deals and the money's not landed. I'm like, you guys don't understand the universal laws of manifestation. Yeah. This is why I'm not going into too much detail with the project or the name, because it's in a compression form of energy. But in sales particularly, I guess this is a little bit of game for people in sales. Yeah. Number one rule, shut your fucking mouth. Yeah. Keep your mouth shut. Shut your mouth when you drop price. Shut your mouth through the process of going to your team or anything like that. And even don't be afraid to tell anyone else that's trying to ask you about it to fuck off. Yeah, that's bothered me so many times. Is it closed? Did it close? How about shut up? Don't even tell me this. Don't tell me good luck before a call. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. What do you mean good luck? This ain't a game of luck. I don't like a lot of the sales culture. And when I'm open to learn, so I've stepped into other people's way of doing things. But Gary, I tell you now that I'm always performing my best when I am. Did you ever get to? I don't know if you were there, but when we joined that community, the first closing call I ever took, I followed this process that I built out. And I just still think about this to this day, that I disserved that lady on that call. And we reviewed it in the community like 3 or 4 times. And the feedback was always, Charlie, it doesn't look like you're being yourself. And I was just like,
You weren't being human. Yeah, I don't know if I ever saw that or not. You probably did, just don't remember it. But yeah, that's, like a good example, even us in this podcast, right? Like you were a talker. I mean, I'm a talker, right? But you are a talker, right? When I'm in sales calls, my whole goal is to make that person talk, and I just sit and listen. And like even in this, like obviously I interject, like I say stuff throughout this podcast, right? But I am the quieter one because that's my personality. That's how I do my sales. I bring my human element into it, and I just let them sell themselves. They need to believe what they need to believe, and I know that's kind of a segue there because of what the conversation we're at. But that, like you said, you just gotta sit. Like people don't know how to be quiet. People will sell themselves more than you can sell them any day of the week, because if they believe it, once they believe it, they're sold. It's done. It's closed deal. It's $5,000. Here you go. Let's go. Right, high ticket. Right, $200 item. Like even when we were selling in that last company together, and we brought that low ticket offer, it was like what, $500 a month. Compared to our $2,000 a month package, right? My pitch and everything was 12 minutes, and I could sell 10 of those a day, right? If I really focus on it. But I was always on the higher ticket stuff all the time, like taking those bigger clients. But there'd be days where I would just pivot. I'd get somebody on the phone that they wouldn't, you could just tell that it wasn't the right, and the smaller package was better for them to start. And I'd just be like, this is what it is. This is what it's for. And I'd let them talk, and they'd end up just paying for it themselves, and I'd never worry about it. Right. Like that is the big difference in sales now than what it used to be. The pressure sales that was happening in the 80s and 90s doesn't work today. People are different. People have evolved, and they have to believe in what they're purchasing, and you shutting the heck up and just listening is so important. Just like you're sitting here listening to us talk right now. Just be quiet. It's not hard.
Yeah, there is a massive. I measure it actually on seeing on like the Fathom. If the Fathom, you just see the timeline of the call. I want all my little white markers, tiny little white touch points, to lead to long black points, which is them talking. Open up. But then there's like, what I've learned also, coming from therapy. So for people who don't know, I was selling my own packages. I was a consultant, but my human skills lie in therapy, hypnosis, my unbelievable passion and interest in psychology. I was fascinated. For those in the UK, you'll know a guy called Darren Brown. I was very interested in what he was doing. I was deep in suicide prevention. I was in loads of these areas. So sometimes I'd listen to people, literally, not bullshitting, I would listen to people for 7-8 hours, right? Like at the cusp of their life. Obviously I'm saying little things, but I'm just like lying down on the floor or some shit. So I brought a lot of that into sales, but what I realized, the number one thing that I really learned coming into this game is the parameters and the time, which basically is call structure, of how to guide the quote prospect if they are a talker. Because if they talk too much and they go what Jordan Belfort would call into Pluto, right? If they go off the line, there's a game of keeping them on track and focused and using that time wisely. So there's definitely a lot of skill. I do miss sales training sometimes. I do miss the way that I was teaching what I call the no pressure close. There's people that I've worked with to this day that still talk about that. But there's a lot more to come. I think there's a lot more as we get to the end here. There's a lot more to come in these episodes. As we get into August, we'll start to have some other people on. Now that people really have got a basic understanding of the format of how we're starting, we just needed to get this podcast going.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're up like 400% in viewership from last week to this week's episodes. Like, we're up a lot. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? And it tells me that we're impacting somebody already. Like, somebody has been impacted by this. And if you guys have questions, we do the question of the day at the end, which we're getting ready to segue into. Send us questions you want us to answer. We'll do it.
Yeah,
we'll answer those questions. Just send it to our email. Shoot us a message on our Discord, whatever it is. But figure it out. Like, get us those questions. We'd love to answer those stuff because everybody has them and they don't know where to ask, you know? And so anyways, but Charlie, let's jump into this question of the day. And what's your question this week?
Before I do that, big up to everyone that has given us great feedback on the podcast. It's happening privately. It's happening privately from some people. So shout out to those people. Your viewership, your feedback literally is food and nourishment for us. So big up on that. Let's go into this. It's the question of the week. I'm going to ask Gary a question. He's going to ask me a question. Okay. In 1972, there was one ancient pyramid. No, I'm joking. Gary, in the next 4 years, right? Let's talk about this. We're going to get to 2030. We're going to pass a threshold, I believe, of where we're at in humanity. What would you say to anyone right now on the fence? High ticket sales, yes, but that is not content or doesn't see longevity, staying fixed into one location with one job. What would you say to people that just have that desire specifically?
Build any skill you can today, because I feel like in 4 years from now, when we hit that 2030 mark, the world will be a different place than it is today. And the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more successful you will be able to pivot those moments of change. I know in my life experiences how many times things have changed and I had to pivot. Businesses have to pivot, you know, all those types of things. You know, obviously, if you're here in the US, we get a new president every 4 to 8 years. That causes pivotal change. Like, there's so many different things that cause change across this world every day, that if you don't step up, find the tools to be successful, and no matter what you do, I mean, I'm one of those dudes that if you go out, like your car breaks, I'll go fix it. Like I could go fix people's cars to make money if I had to tomorrow, even though I'm a computer nerd, right? So my best advice to answer your question, Charlie, is gain as much skill and as much knowledge as you can and stop sitting on the couch eating Cheetos.
Goddamn right.
Okay. Great, man. I love it. I think skills pay the bills, always. What's your question?
This week, Charlie, what was the most pivotal thing that happened to you this week that created an epiphany to get you to the next level of where you want to go in this journey that we're on?
I thought you'd never ask. It's quite simple, to be honest. What came up, if I was to be specific about this week, what came up to me was I won't talk about the details of it, but it was a catalyst. It was a confirmation that I had to build this ecosystem of simplicity and scalability and basically pump all of my wisdom, all of my knowledge into this entity that will maximize people's chance of success, whilst also, if you haven't figured it out, entertaining people. I'm here to entertain. I believe what's happening right now in this dopamine fueled internet and world, we have to compete with short form content. We have to compete with where people's energy is. There's like so much I can say on this, but the epiphany this week is there is so many people that are destined for success, but with the best intentions, and all respect to the community leaders that are doing their best, with the best intentions for them, they're all doing it. In the doc, I called this built to diminish. So it's a diminishing model from the start because they're using shit. I'll say this, yeah? Yeah, everyone wants to talk about Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy, if you were good, you'd fix school, yeah? He's good at one thing, marketing, yeah? Alex Hormozy, if you want to change that platform and make it good, speak to me. Because school is the worst fucking platform I could think of ever to build a community. You can't send voice notes. It loses people. My point is, the epiphany is, all my days, you can't use what everyone's trying to use to build what's actually going to lead to success. And there's secrets I'm not going to reveal. Secrets I'm not going to reveal. It's not some magic reinventing of the wheel. It's actually even simpler. And my epiphany of what I know I need to bring to this market is build that model, build that entity, enable people to get real osmosis and preparation so they can succeed in high ticket sales at a pace that doesn't crash and burn them through financial pressure, and also follows traditional principle that people have had in schools and martial art gyms and everything without fucking overcomplicating it, man. There's one key word: execute. And if you can't do that, nothing else matters. I can't sell you anything if you can't execute. And most people know what to do. It's not an education problem. It's a internal life organization competency issue because you've got other shit going on. And I know I need to bring that to the market and build a very strong tree that will never get cut down, that will never diminish in the wind because my roots are so deep. And that is coming in the next, well, it's here. But watch what happens in the next 1-2 years. Mark my words. I will revolutionize this industry, like I said, and I will raise the standards in this game without fail. Jump on board
and
while
I'll
you
be
can.
right there with you. We'll do it one way or another, right, Charlie?
Živeli, my friend, which means cheers in Croatian, basically.
Well, on to the next one. We'll see you guys next week. You can, watch this on YouTube. You can listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your music podcasts. You can find this podcast there. And don't forget our email, our Discord. Send us those questions. And Charlie out. Any final words?
Talk at highticketsnails.com. Subject line, stories, send them in. I appreciate you guys. Keep sending us the feedback. Big love. Peace.
Did I mention? Hello, motherfucker.